Welcome back, shooters. This time we're going to be talking about the designated marksman rifles. The designated marksman rifle is a rifle that was primarily used by the regular platoon forces, and then there were done a lot of modifications so that the caliber was extended to a maximum range. Most of the modifications were done mostly to the barrel. Most of the militaries, they used the 14.5 inches barrel. The civilians use the 16 inches barrel, but then for designated marksman rifle, I would highly recommend you to use an 18 length barrel or use a 20 barrel because when you use the longer barrel, you will use the rifle gas length system, so it's gonna ease your recoil. And another modification that was done to the barrel is mostly the barrel configuration. You're gonna have the bull barrel, which is the one I chose because it's the heaviest. It's the one that was going to take more shooting strings and hitting the less, and then that way spreading the less because it's the thickest among all of them. The lower one, the next one below that one, the bull barrel, will be the SOCOM configuration. That's the one that was used by several special operation groups because they were able to burst and keep the accuracy to a certain point. Below that, it's the M4 barrel configuration, which is the one with the bulging that allows you to put the bayonet and the grenade launchers. Primary one, the first one was the M16 configuration, which is the very thin barrel. That's the most comfortable for a fast action operation, for jungle movement, because it's the lightest one, because it's the thinnest one, but it's not the best one for designated marksman shooting or more precision shooting. Kind of type. Another modification that was done to the regular infantryman rifle to make it a designated marksman rifle was internally the twist was changed, was make it tighter. That way was be able to tolerate and stabilize a more heavy and specialized bullets that were specifically designed for this one. They are capable of shooting the regular infantryman bullets, but they also will shoot with way better accuracy the more specific, higher ballistic coefficient bullet designated for this specific designated marksman rifle. Because mostly because they're higher ballistic coefficient. I got a video exclusively on ballistic coefficient on my reloading section if you want to take a look at it so you kind of catch up what's the ballistic coefficient about. Another modification that was done, obviously, it was needed a scope in order to be able to see the point of impact at those extended ranges. What's the regular infantryman was taking the regular shots. 3G-Con, the Model A cog, was the one that took all the competition. They started with the 1x4 magnification, then eventually was upgraded to the 1x6 magnification. And then Elcan and other companies designed the 1:8 magnification. Knife Force designed the 1:8 magnification. Eventually Loophole took over using the 2.5x10 magnification. Currently, I believe the one is used is the 4:18 magnification, also made by Loophole. So the optic is just to improve the length, the capacity. Obviously, since you're going to be taking accurate shots, you're not going to be shooting just in a standing position with all that wobble, movement, and transition. It is necessary to use a tripod. The military throughout the years has been using the Harris bipod. This is not the fancy one. This is not the one with all the 16 Kama Sutra positions, but it only has two positions. You fold it down or you pull it back for action, and you fold it up when you want to move to a different position. It is a shock-proof, bulletproof. It is well tried and proven, so I would highly recommend you to get this one if you are trying to save money. Yes, you got more fancy one with a bunch of positions, but this is the tried and true. However, I noticed that a Harris bipod, they come with a screw on the back that you can tighten any kind of movement. However, you will never completely eliminate all that movement. I would highly recommend you to get the K&W pod for the Harris bipod. It's going to eliminate any kind of wobble, and it's also designed by the Marines, so I support them. Another modification that was mostly done to the designated marksman rifle, besides the barrel, the optics, the bipod for a steady position, it was added a muzzle brake. The militaries use mostly surefire, but in my case as a civilian, I used the one designed for silencer call. I want the one with the 3 ports because it's kind of bent on the outside. All the gas that is coming out after an explosion, and it helps a lot with the recoil, and it's also threaded for the suppressor use. Just because I use this same muzzle brake that is suppressor ready, I can switch the same suppressor that I own among my 3 rifles without any kind of modification to the gun, besides the muzzle brake suppressor ready. Obviously, since the muzzle de-engagement we're going to be taking beyond the 500 yards, they realized that they needed to modify the trigger. The trigger that was issued was not anymore the 6 pound. Tested a few of them, they're even giving the 7 pound trigger pull before they fire. So the trigger was modified. I read the trigger pull was mostly between 3 and 3.5. The one I use, it's a 3.5 trigger. This is made by Rock River Arms. This is the Varmint model. It is very, very comfortable. I really love it. You have the 2 times like the military ones. The first one goes back, then you feel the wall, and then it breaks. But then what I like the most is part the trigger reset. When you action this, it's less than a centimeter, and you can do fast engagement real quick. It's pretty cool. Another modification that I would highly suggest to use for your designated marksman rifle, it's a stock. Most of the current snipers, they use the Magpul PRS stock, which has the height modification and the modification also full length. However, that one, it costs 3 times what I pay for this one. This is the one that it's made by Magpul, the Moe model, and I still have the capacity to put inside all kind of junk. I got my rods, I got a bunch of racks, I have extra screws, I have extra batteries, I got oil container, M&Ms, whatever you prefer to take to your bears, whatever makes you happy. The grip, I really fell in love when I tried the grip made by Magpul. This is the MOE K2, I believe. The majority of the grips that I see on the market nowadays, they kind of go laterally a little bit. When you make a fist with your hand, you don't go exactly 90 degrees, but you don't go so backward like back in the days, the original hand grips. So this one is not as much at 90 and it's really comfortable to shoot. I got the same one in my home defense AR. It is really, really comfortable to shoot, and I also have the same trigger on my other AR. The charging handle, it's made by Bear Creek Arsenal. No, sorry, by Bravo Company manufacturer. The other one is the Bear Creek Arsenal. I made a mistake. This charging handle is made by Bear Creek Arsenal, so the bolt itself, internal, they also are extremely good quality. They are a well-known company, so I would highly recommend you to get those. They're ambidextrous, so you don't have to worry about when you do the switching shoulders for creating a wall or something, or taking an animal without spotting your whole body. What I see some people when they have their AR, I would highly recommend you stop putting all these covers all over. It takes the barrel longer when they are fully covered, they're fully all over all this. It takes longer for the barrel to cool down when you have been taking a long string of shots. On the top, I used the Vortex Viper PSD Gen 1. This is the 4-16 by 50. I already made a video review on this one. Please take a look at this, so you cannot have an idea of what to look for when you are selecting an optic for your designated marksman rifle. I also made a review on the worn mount, this one specific among my videos. I would highly suggest you to take a look at that one too. You kind of have an idea about that too. On the East Block, the US, the first model that were used as a designated marksman rifle, I would say was the SR25. That was also a 5.56 with all the modification, very similar to this one. Not exactly the same, but within the same ballpark. The next one was the Mark 12 that was used by the Navy SEALs. That it was an improved SR25. Eventually, it was moved on to the M110. That was produced by Knights Armament, even though it was a 308, that was capable of reaching farther than the 5.56 because of the semi-automatic action. The maximum accuracy you can get with that one is a 1.5 inches. They have more firepower than a bolt-action rifle. However, for extended long ranges, they are not as accurate. They will never be as accurate as a bolt-action rifle, where all you have to worry is about closing the bolt, and all the movement is just from the bullet exiting. When you're using a semi-automatic rifle, you have all that wobbling inside the action, and it takes more training for any shooter to get to achieve the 1.5 inch accuracy. I even struggle when I'm switching from my bolt action to this one. It takes me longer to get back to 1.5 and 2, 1.5 and 2 of accuracy, even when I'm reloading. If you are planning to take your girlfriend or a friend that is going to be your first time introducing them into the firearm world, I would highly recommend you to use a designated marksman rifle or a heavy rifle, because that weight, because of the barrel configurations and all the added extra part, they will have a way less recoil. They're going to be really enjoyable. It's going to be a very positive experience for them for the first time dealing with firearms. So on the East Bloc, I believe the Russians has traditionally used the Dragunov. That was initially considered a sniper rifle because it was capable of shooting 1.5 to MOA, but according to standards, nowadays standards of accuracy, they are far from being considered a sniper rifle. The other one that are used on the East Bloc as a designated marksman rifle is going to be the VSS Vintorez, which is a short barrel suppressed semi-automatic weapon. However, because of the short barrel, it's not really capable of taking like long shots. It's pretty much up to 400 meters. I chose the 20-inch barrel also because when you are reloading, it helps you save on powder. Not a lot, but in the long run, it helps you save, because it builds up more gas inside the chamber itself, the whole barrel capacity. I think that's it for all today. Alright friends, this is all I have to share with you this time. If you like this video, give it a like, subscribe, share it among your friends. If you have a designated marksman rifle that you own, please leave me a comment, your specification, something that you would do to this one, something that you differ from me. Thank you so much for your time, and you'll have a wonderful day.